My honest opinion about the INFJ. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say I'm so exhausted today. And so this is probably a really weird angle, but not the most attractive, but I feel like the most comfortable, I think, probably around INFJs. So I'm just going to do it. Disclaimer. Don't stereotype people based on type. I don't speak for all ENFJs here. Like I said this in all my other videos. I just want to make that extra clear. I'm not speaking for all ENFJs here. I haven't met every INFJ in the world. This is not to encourage people to stereotype. This is just giving my general view of how I've interacted with INFJs in the past. And so here are my insights on that. Before I get into all that, though, I actually just have a question for INFJs. I don't know if this is true or not, but this is my view of INFJs I know. I'm kind of jealous of them because I feel like they must care about what people think less than me, that might be true. I don't know. But it's almost like I'm jealous that INFJs are introverted because I feel like we both feel just as misunderstood. But as I'm an extrovert, I feel like I'm like forcing the connection on people that don't want it all the time, and that's really painful. But it seems like INFJs like don't push it or force it. They just feel misunderstood, and it also seems like they require less of intimacy from people than I do. Like my energy level's super high. I have a lot to give, and I also have a lot that I feel like my emotional needs are higher, like I'm needier, and I wish I wasn't like that, and I really resent that parts of myself, and I really hate it. And so I guess sometimes in my mind I can think that INFJs are like a level up version of me because they aren't as needy and they're able to I just sometimes think of all the work I could get done if I didn't require so much connection, and if I was just able to spend a day reading without being antsy, like how awesome that would be. And if I was able to just dive into subjects, and if I was able to just like be more chill and like wait for a text back without freaking out or something, like all these things that my extroverted feeling nature makes me an extreme on, I guess I feel like, oh my gosh, like to be an INFJ, they're like the cooler version of me because. But then something else I wonder though, is that actually true? Do INFJs require as much love as I feel like I do? Or does everyone require the same amount of love and I just am more proactive about it, and other types maybe don't notice as much, but the effects will still be felt in other areas? I don't know. Maybe it feels like for an INFJ that they feel just as misunderstood and in need of love as I do, but they don't feel like they have the tools to make it happen as much as I do as an extrovert. I don't know. So I don't want to make a sweeping statement saying like it must be easier to be an INFJ, but that is my perspective. Take it or leave it. It's probably wrong. I know it's biased, that's for sure. I can get really like, I wish I could just shut my mouth sometimes. Like, it seems like INFJs, they can feel just as much as me, but they know when to shut up. And like, man, I wish that I can like I wish that I can like be like date casually without being, all right, here's all of me. Here's all of my here's all of my feelings about this. It's that sort of NI and TI torture like in my head, but like I don't know how to keep it in. Like I always like just blab it out. and my mouth like gets me in trouble in a lot of ways because I don't know how to just be chill. And dating casually is one thing. I know that INFJs might be similar to me in the sense where they feel like they only know how to be real. Like, out of any other type, INFJs get what I mean when I say, like, I'm sorry, I'm only capable of being honest and authentic and telling you my feelings. And if you don't like that, get out of my way. I feel like INFJs get me on that level, but what I envy about them is how that quality makes them more choosy about people, which I've been trying to implement in my life more because it's hard. I mean, yeah, well, as far as the INFJs in my life, similar to what I said about ENFJs in my previous video, they can be a little hard to crack at first. I think all NFJs can because they seem really pleasant, but they're still sort of vetting you to decide like if they could trust you, and even if they could tell you a bunch of things about their personal life or about their work or about their dreams and goals and feelings, that doesn't necessarily mean that they trust you or that they are on your side and that you're friends. And so there was a girl that I worked with for like a year, and then like 2 years later we were in college together even though we didn't work together. Then she transferred schools, and we haven't lived in the same town for like a couple years. But it's weird how like now that we don't live in the same town, we're like a lot better friends because it's like we realized how much of a role that person fit in each other's lives. Like things would come up and be like, and this is an INFJ, I don't know if I said that. My friend who's an INFJ, it's almost like she wasn't around and things would happen in my life, be like, oh, I wonder what she would think about this. And like we would just connect more. And it's hard because I wish that she lived here, because if she did, I feel like she would be more of a part of my life. But I think that the thing that INFJs and I share is that we'd much rather be living our life and paying attention to what's going on in front of our face than living a life behind a screen. And it's hard for me to have long distance friendships. It's like, don't even get me started on long distance relationships, but it's even hard to have long distance friendships because I want to be experiencing things with a person. Like, I don't want to just be texting about it. And so yeah, that's hard because my INFJ friend and I will try and make time to Skype or FaceTime or whatever, and we do sometimes. But yeah, basically I think INFJs are so cool. Like, I don't know, but I don't like, I say like, oh, they're the cooler version of me or whatever, but like I do sometimes think though, like, why don't you guys like just like, sometimes they could be passive aggressive. That's what I'll say. Sometimes I'm like, why don't you guys just say what you think at first? Also, since INFJs have stronger introverted thinking than it can get kind of annoying sometimes, the way that they want to be right, but they don't sometimes, like, sometimes they can get stuck in their ways. And once once it clicked, like, they won't want to shift that perception as much, I think, as me, because I have higher extroverted sensing, and so I'm like willing to like look at things again and like use extroverted sensing again or whatever. Another INFJ I know, another INFJ I worked with, they could be pretty nitpicky. Like, I had an INFJ manager once. It could be kind of nitpicky and like not trust that I'm gonna get the job done unless they're holding my hand, and also like not very clear as far as what expectations are. This is because they have poor extroverted thinking. which I do as well, but it's interesting how I can notice it in INFJs. It's interesting how, even though we have like the same functions, how like some things could be different about us. But INFJs are very wise. They're all very old souls, and a lot of like spiritual leaders I look up to, I feel like, are INFJs. I really admire their patience and their gratitude and their humility. And it's honestly really hard to even do this video because even though there are differences between us, I still feel like, I don't know, like I don't think I've ever been not on the same page with an INFJ. I don't think we've ever really misunderstood each other. Um, it's like they're similar to me in the sense that they have to know the reason why, like for everything. And everything that they're doing, they have to know their purpose behind it. Like my friend I mentioned who's an INFJ, she was a math major. And you wouldn't really think of an INFJ being into math. But for her, it was like she wanted to discover new numbers. Or not new numbers, but like she thought it was fascinating how we discovered like pi, and we discovered all these like imaginary numbers and formulas. And she was like, how did humans just find like this concept of numbers that is somehow repeatable in nature and found in nature? And so she was interested in that. And I feel like INFJs, they approach everything through that lens of curiosity and wanting to know the root of why things are. I do think, though, that INFJs, they might not be as skilled in expressing and processing their emotions, because I think that since they're not extroverted, they aren't as likely to vent to a friend whenever they might actually need to. And similar to me, since we have introverted thinking, we'll be like, oh, this is a stupid reason why, like, oh, I'm sad, but that's for a stupid reason, everything's fine, okay, moving on. Whereas NFPs will let themselves be sad for a stupid reason. NFJs will not let themselves be sad for a stupid reason. They would so much rather be sad about the president, climate change, all these other things that like we can't control, but we still feel like we have a right to be sad about. Like INFJs in particular, they want to feel like they have a right to be sad about it. My same friend I mentioned, it's interesting, like when she gets quiet, like I'll be like, what's on your mind? Like I know something's on your mind. And she was like, nothing. What do you mean? And whenever we talked about it, I was like, oh, are you thinking about the fact that you're not going to see this guy that you were into for months and maybe if not ever again? And she was like, oh, well, now that you say it, yeah, I am thinking about that. I didn't even realize or something. I think that INFJs can get into this mode of like, they're just in the zone and they're like, I'm with my friend right now, I'm talking to them, I'm listening to their problems. Or they're like, I'm at work right now, I'm getting everything done I need to. That they will forget about like the background of what's going on in their brain and like what they're worried about and what they're feeling about. Whereas I feel like I cannot turn that off at all. Like that, what's the word? Like my mental narrator is just there. And so if I react, if I like cross my arms, or if I like move away, or if I open them, or if I stretch, like anything I do, I like know why I'm doing it, like emotionally. But it does seem like INFJs can turn that part off. And I don't know, like I've done that a few times to INFJ friends, and they're like, wow, like how did you know like that I was overthinking that? But it's like because I notice the way that their limited behavior, like I notice the ways that they the their behavior will express it, whether they realize it's expressing it or not. But it's also like INFJs, once you tell them that, they're not going to like lie to themselves or be so disconnected from their emotions. Like an INTP, for example, might literally just not know or like fight you on it and be like, I'm not feeling that way. What are you talking about? But like an INFJ will know, but just be like, oh wow, like that didn't cross my mind or something. INFJs too, they could be very, very stubborn. And I am too, but I feel like I am more flexible in certain regards. They're more flexible in other regards. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but like in their morals, they have like strict guidelines that they follow. Whereas I feel like I sort of react to whatever's happening and like do the right thing. But INFJs will like sort of decide a rule or like a do not pass go, like a this is my barrier for things, or like this is my ethical line and I'm not going to cross it. They seem to do that a lot. I think that some of them, I know an INFJ who I feel like has gotten a little too attached to seeming cool on social media, and it's kind of interesting. Like, she likes everyone's things. Like, she has the perfect Instagram, the perfect Twitter. Like, she's like so popular or whatever. But like when you meet her in person, even though she'll comment and like be really like extrovertedly seeming, like if you were to look at her, if you were to like go to her profile, you would think that she was an ENFJ maybe. I don't know. Well, I don't know, because everything she says has like a weird, has like a twinge of mysteriousness to it or whatever, but she seems super extroverted and super social. And then in person, she just seems a lot more dead than she does like in real life. It almost makes me think that she's putting a lot of effort into social media in ways that she doesn't have the energy to give, like, to people. And this person also would like host a lot of parties and stuff, and she was just a total socialite. And it's interesting. Like, I do know some, and I think I know another INFJ sort of like that too, where I think if they get too stuck in extroverted sensing, then they will care more about looking like they have friends than actually having friends, and they'll put their energy in the wrong ways. But that's not really the norm, I would say. See, here's the thing just to remember, is that the archetype of INFJ can apply to like literally so many types of people and so many different experiences, and people with different values. So I wouldn't say that's necessarily normal, but I do think that there's a pocket of INFJs that can act like that. I know some like that, but I would say most likely they really are true to themselves and their values. Yeah, I feel like this video is sort of turning into a what's the difference between me and an INFJ video, which isn't really the point. I could talk about that some other time, but generally, like, I love how understood INFJs make me feel, and they also, I think that I can sort of overanalyze situations more than them, and so sometimes they will sort of tell me, like, remind me, like, we don't know the answer yet. Like, it seems like they sort of have this line of, like, they overanalyze a lot too, but if they know that they don't know the answer yet, but the answer is coming, like, to a question or whatever, then they think that they're better at dropping it than I am. Like, I'm not very good at dropping it. But anyway, like, talking to them always makes me feel really calm. But it is hard to crack them. But I think, though, that the stereotype and the descriptions of INFJs are, like, a little much, like, compared to the ones I actually know. Like INFJs don't care about being the most different and the most intuitive and flashes of insight and whoa, like they're so different. It's like, honestly, I think that description is just doing a disservice because so many INFPs mistype as INFJs because they want to be that. It's almost like when you think of hipsters, like the definition of hipster means that they're like not in mainstream culture. And then whenever the idea of hipster became cool, so many people that weren't actually hipster would be like, ha, I'm a hipster. But like the true hipsters would not know that they were hipsters. That's like kind of how I feel like about INFJs, is that like they don't really care if they're like, they don't necessarily want to be like the most different. Like they want to feel like they have friends. They want to feel like they're a part of a group. Like they don't want to feel like an outcast, and they don't want to separate themselves from other people, but they do just feel like they think about things a little deeper than other people. And I'm right there with you in that regard. I'm not quite sure like the differences, because I feel like I value NI a lot compared to other ENFJs I know. Like I almost use it as much as FE, even though I know that FE comes first for me on my stack. But I like definitely like, I spend a lot of times trying to make sure that I'm using NI like before I move forward with things, because I used to be the sort of person that would just steamroll over people and just say things without thinking, and I don't want to be that person. So I really am interested, like as I'm blabbing about this, I just kind of wonder like what are the differences, because I know there's a lot, but end of story. I love you, INFJs. I wish I had more I wish I had more INFJ friends in my life. I know quite a bit, but like I said, it's hard to crack them. They aren't necessarily the person that you I've never really had them as the person that you call whenever you really need something, but I have had ones where like they're like, I'm always there if you need something, but for some reason I just don't, they haven't really gotten that close yet, and I don't really know why, but they always help me like the most, like probably out of any other type, because I'll just say NFPs, I love you guys, but what NFPs don't understand is that when I'm sad, I don't want my feelings to be validated. I want to be told, like, I want to be like snapped into focus of like, I want someone to remind me like that I'm reacting to nothing. Why would I want to be reacting to something? If I was reacting to something, then that means that something actually is wrong. Like if I'm like, oh my god, everyone hates me and I'm reacting, it's almost like an NFP will be like, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like that does suck to feel alone, which is great. That's great to hear too. But an NFJ will be like, no, like you're being dumb right now. Like stop being dumb. Like, or like, and STPs are kind of like this too. But anyway, like, I want to be reminded that I'm off the deep end and sort of like have my vision shifted to where it needs to be. I don't have introverted feeling, and so my feelings aren't all like bent out of shape about it needing to be hugged. Like I just get off track, off the rails, and I need to be back forward so I can keep moving. And INFJs understand this, and their introverted intuition is good, and so they're able to know what I'm reacting to and help me shift back into focus. So thanks for watching this video, and also thank you guys, this is so lame of me to say, but thank you for all of my new subscribers and all my comments. I really enjoy reading them, and I'm really thankful for all of that, and I'm going to continue making this series and a whole bunch of other stuff to come. So thank you so much, and have a good evening.